Have you ever heard a story so clever, so profound, that it completely changes how you think about wisdom and justice? Today, we're diving deep into one of history's most famous legal cases, a tale that has echoed through millennia. It's the story of King Solomon and the Two Mothers, a high-stakes drama that tested the very limits of human insight. This isn't just an old story, it's a masterclass in psychology, leadership, and the unbreakable bond between a mother and her child. So get comfortable, because you're about to witness a display of genius that is as breathtaking today as it was 3,000 years ago. Let's set the scene. We're in ancient Jerusalem, in the grand court of King Solomon. Solomon was the son of King David, and from a young age, he was destined for greatness. The story goes that when God offered him anything he desired, riches, long life, power, Solomon asked for only one thing: a wise and discerning heart to govern his people and to distinguish between right and wrong. God was so pleased with this humble request that he granted Solomon not only unparalleled wisdom, but also the wealth and honor he hadn't asked for. His reputation as a just and brilliant ruler spread far and wide, and people from all over the kingdom traveled to his court, seeking his judgment on their most complex disputes. One ordinary day, the court proceedings were dramatically interrupted. Two women burst in, their voices filled with anguish and accusation. They approached the throne, and in their arms, one of them held a living infant, while the other gestured frantically, her face a mask of grief. The guards brought them before Solomon, and the entire court fell silent, sensing that this was no ordinary squabble. This was a matter of life and death. The first woman began her story, her voice trembling with emotion. "My lord," she pleaded, "this woman and I, we live in the same house. We were alone, and I gave birth to a son while she was there. 3 days later, she also gave birth to a son. There was no one else in the house with us, just the two of us." She took a deep breath, her eyes locking with the king's. "But during the night, this woman's son died because she lay on him. So she got up in the middle of the night, while your servant was sleeping, and she took my son from my side. She laid her dead son beside me and put my living son beside herself. When I woke up in the morning to nurse my child, I saw he was dead. But when I looked at him closely in the morning light, I realized it was not the son I had given birth to." As she finished, the second woman immediately cried out, "No? The living son is mine, and the dead one is yours." The first woman shot back, her voice rising, "No? The dead son is yours, and the living one is mine." Back and forth they argued, their claims a tangled web of "he's mine" and "no, he's yours." The court was in an uproar. The situation seemed impossible. There were no witnesses, no evidence, just the passionate, conflicting testimonies of two desperate mothers. How could anyone possibly uncover the truth? DNA testing was thousands of years away. Lie detectors were the stuff of fantasy. All eyes turned to King Solomon. This was the ultimate test of his divine wisdom. He had to look into the hearts of these two women and find the truth hidden there. Solomon sat on his throne, observing them intently. He listened to their frantic claims, but he was looking for something more than words. He was searching for the subtle, unspoken language of the heart. He saw the raw desperation in both of their eyes. He saw the fierce possessiveness. On the surface, they looked identical in their grief and their claims. Any other judge might have given up, or perhaps even suggested they share custody, which would have been an impractical and emotionally devastating solution. But Solomon was no ordinary judge. After a long, tense silence, Solomon finally spoke. His voice was calm, but carried an authority that cut through the noise of the court. One says, "This is my son, who is alive, and your son is the dead one," while the other says, "No? Your son is the dead one, and my son is the living one." He summarized the deadlock, showing everyone he understood the impossible nature of the problem. The entire room held its breath, waiting for his verdict. What could he possibly do? Then, Solomon issued a command so shocking, so utterly unexpected, that a wave of gasps rippled through the courtroom. He turned to one of his guards and said, "Bring me a sword." A guard immediately unsheathed his gleaming sword and presented it to the king. The two women looked on, confused and terrified. What was he going to do? Solomon's next words sent a chill down every spine. "Cut the living child in two," he declared, his voice unwavering, "and give half to the one and half to the other." Can you imagine the horror in that room? The suggestion was brutal, barbaric, to kill an innocent baby and divide its body. It seemed like madness, not wisdom. The second woman, the one who had been so adamant, so aggressive in her claims, simply nodded. "That's a fair solution," she said, a cold, hard look in her eyes. "It shall be neither mine nor yours. Divide him." Her response was chilling. In her bitterness and jealousy, she would rather see the baby die than let the other woman have him. But the first woman, the true mother, reacted with pure, unadulterated horror. Her heart shattered at the king's pronouncement. She threw herself at Solomon's feet, her body racked with sobs. "Oh, my lord, please," she begged, tears streaming down her face. "Give her the living child. Just please, do not kill him. Let him live." In that single, desperate moment, the truth was laid bare for all to see. It wasn't about winning an argument for her. It wasn't about possession. It was about the life of her child. She would rather give him up to suffer the agony of seeing him raised by another woman than to see a single hair on his head harmed. Her love was selfless. It was sacrificial. It was the love of a true mother. And in that moment, Solomon knew the test was complete. A slow smile may have crossed his lips as he saw his plan work to perfection. He raised his hand to silence the court and delivered his final, decisive verdict. "Give the living child to the first woman," he commanded, his voice ringing with authority and compassion. "Do not kill him. She is his mother." The judgment was not just a legal ruling. It was a revelation. Solomon hadn't used logic or evidence in the traditional sense. He had created a psychological test, a moral crucible designed to expose the true nature of the two claimants. He understood that true maternal love is protective and selfless, while envy is destructive and selfish. The threat to the child's life acted as a catalyst, forcing each woman to reveal her true heart. The false motheress envy was so strong that she preferred to see the baby destroyed rather than lose the dispute. The true motheress love was so powerful that she was willing to sacrifice her own happiness for her child's survival. The court erupted in awe. The people marveled at the wisdom of their king. The news of this incredible judgment spread throughout all of Israel, and the people held Solomon in even greater reverence, for they saw that the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. He hadn't just solved a case, he had demonstrated the very nature of justice itself, that it's not just about applying rules, but about understanding humanity. This story teaches us so much. It shows that true wisdom often means looking beyond the surface, beyond the noise and the arguments, to understand the motivations that drive people. Solomon's genius wasn't just in his clever trick. It was in his deep understanding of human nature, specifically the fierce, protective instinct of a mother's love. It's a timeless lesson for leaders, parents, and anyone who has to make a difficult decision. Sometimes the right answer isn't found in facts and figures, but in the heart. What do you think? Was Solomon's method genius, or just a risky gamble? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's a story that always sparks a great debate. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more tales of incredible wisdom and history, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We have so many more amazing stories to share with you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.